Good morning po. At ila-live ko lang ulit itong aking palabas na disqualification laban kay Erwin Tulfo sa pag-asa na mas marami nakakalam. Ito po at ila-live ko na po. Magandang hapon po at ito naman tayo at pag-usapan natin yung nagsamba ako ulit ng disqualification na kaso laban kay Erwin Tulfo. Ito po ang ating matunghayan sa ngayon at akin pong ipaliwanag sa inyo kung anong laman nito at kung ano po ang magiging kahinanatnan nito ay magbibigay tayo ng tinatawag na studied opinions. At ang ating pag-usapan ay natutungkol ito muna, ipipresenta ko muna sa inyo ang aking petisyon at naisampa na po ito kanina officially sa COMELEC. Natandaan ninyo nung una may sinampa ako laban kay Erwin Tulfo. Pero ang problema ay hindi ko napadalhan ng kopya si Erwin Tulfo dahil nga ay hindi naman ako binigyan ng kopya ng address ni Erwin Tulfo. Bagkus sa pinadala sa akin ng COMELEC, nung kanilang binigyan ako ng kopya ay yung kopya na ay yung kopya na walang address, binurang address. Kasi nga daw, privacy daw. So ngayon, na-dismiss yun, pero pinile ko na lang ulit. So ito na po ang ating pag-usapan sa ngayon. So, ladies and gentlemen, at ito na po ang ating pag-usapan, ang i-disqualify si Erwin Tulfo. Ito po ang aking petisyon. Ipakita ko muna sa inyo ang kopya ng petition na sinampa kanina. So yan po. Ayop, pagkita ninyo. O, nakita ninyo? O, sige. So yan po ang sinulat ko. Pinost ko rin sa aking Facebook account sa page ko. I filed this petition to make it sure. Hindi ito. Iba ito. Sandali lang. Iba ito. Ang ano ito? Ito, dali lang ha. Nasampa po ito kanina mga kahapon in-email ko sa COMELEC at kanina ay personal na ipina-receive. So nevertheless, ito po yung bubuksan natin. Ito. So ito po yon. Ito. Ito po yung petition na aking sinampa kanina sa COMELEC. Bobby Cortez, magandang gabi. Eric De La Cruz, magandang gabi. At tuloy lang talaga ang laban natin ito. So ito po, yan ang title. Birthday ni si Kausing. Aka Toto Bodyug Kausing, Grab Free Philippines Foundation Incorporated, represented by Justado Villar Calonge and Justado Villar Calonge himself. Si Attorney Justado Villar Calonge po ay retiradong abogado galing sa Office of the Ombudsman. At siya po, ang grupo niya, ang nagsampa ng kaso laban kay ERAP, kaya na-convict si ERAP sa plunder. So, ito ngayon ang ating title na Petition for Disqualification of Erwin Tishiba Tulfo. So, yan ang title niya. So, ito, ang enumerate ko kung ano mga dahilan ko. Number one ko na dahilan ay siya ay na-convict ng apat na libel. Tapos, so kada libel ay may disqualification sa ilalim ng moral turpitude na doktrina at kung apat, di 4 na 5 taon din. So 20 years siya dapat niya hindi pwedeng tumakbo. Sa pangalawang dahilan ay hindi siya po Pilipino. Pangatlong dahilan ay siya ay nilabag niyang equal access to opportunities doctrine o clause ng Constitution. Pang-apat na dahilan ay yung political dynasty na provision sa Section 26 Article 2. Ang panglimang dahilan, ito po, novelty ito. Pagka kabago-bago at hindi nyo pa narinig itong dahilan na to, na sinabi ko for failing to prove his academic qualification. Yan. So, matindi yan. So, ngayon, didiscuss ko muna siguro, direkto na ko sa discussion sa mga dahilan. Unang dahilan, moral turpitude for 20 years. So, Englishin ko the first cause of action against the respondent is he is disqualified from running for senator in the May 12, 2025 elections because he was convicted of 4 counts of libel that became final after these were affirmed by the Supreme Court. These libel cases are a judicial notice and are readable in the Supreme Court case entitled Erwin Tolfo versus People, GR number 161032, September 16, 2008. A copy of this case, Tolfo versus People, is attached here to as Annex B, which is also of judicial notice to the COMELEC. The 4 counts of libel involve moral turpitude, which is a disqualification under Section 12 of Omnibus Election Code. These 4 counts of libel must be served successively, so the existence of the moral turpitude runs 5 years for every count and will expire in 20 years for all of the 4 counts from the service or execution of the sentence. It is settled that libel involves moral turpitude as declared in Delgado T versus Philip A. Pichay, GR number 219603, January 26, 2016. A copy of this Delgado T case is attached here to as Annex C, which is also a judicial notice to the COMELEC. In this case of Delgado T, Pichay was disqualified for the same crimes of libel, for which Erwin Tulfo is the principal offender. There is no record showing that Erwin Tishiba Tulfo has served the 4 counts of libel, presuming that he has not begun serving the sentence. So he is barred under Section 12 of the Omnibus Election Code. Section 12, disqualifications. Any person who has been declared by competent authority insane or incompetent or has been sentenced by final judgment for subversion, insurrection, rebellion, or for any offense for which he has been sentenced to a penalty of more than 18 months or for a crime involving moral turpitude shall be disqualified to be a candidate and to hold any office unless he has been given plenary pardon or granted amnesty. The disqualifications to be a candidate herein provided shall be deemed removed upon the declaration by competent authority that said insanity or incompetence had been removed, or after the expiration of a period of 5 years from his service of sentence, unless within the same period he again becomes disqualified. So number 18, even assuming that Erwin Toshiba Tulfo has paid the 4 fines, the moral turpitude disqualification for 5 years of every sentence has been attached to his person for 20 years from payment of the fines because he had 4 cases or counts to serve successively. In Article 70 of the Revised Penal Code, there is no provision that says that fine is in the nature that can be served simultaneously. Number 20, even if Erwin Teshiba Tolpo paid the fines imposed on him for the 4 counts of libel, his moral turpitude disqualification cannot be served simultaneously, but successively. This means that the 4 or 5-year period of disqualification must be served successively or one after the other. If it is, then the moral turpitude disqualifications of Erwin Teshiba Tolfo can end at the earliest by the year 2028 if he paid the fines in 2028. Besides, there is no evidence showing when Erwin Teshiba Tolfo complied with the decree of the Honorable Court insofar as the order for him to pay the fines for the 4 counts of libel. So Tagalog pa, ang ibig sabihin nito ay sa ating teorya ay disqualified pa rin si Erwin na tumakbo sapagkat mayroon siyang disqualification na tinatawag na moral turpitude. Ano yung moral turpitude? Ibig sabihin mo, masama yung moral niya. Masama yung kanyang kanyang pagtingin sa kanya bilang isang hindi maganda. Kumbaga immoral. O may maintindihan yung pang immoral. So so ngayon kung immoral siya, sa loob ng 5 taon, kung nasintensyahan sa libel, nasintensyahan siya kasi sa libel noong 2008. So kada sentensya, 5 taon ang pagbawal sa kanya na tumakbo. So kung 4, so 4 times 5, 20 years. So kung 20 years, isimula tayo sa 2008, ibig sabihin plus 20, 2028 pa lang siya pwede tumakbo. Yan ang ating theory. So anyway, I leave this decision to the Supreme Court kung aabot man kami ng Supreme Court. So ang pangalawa ay hindi siya Pilipino. Ito pong aking argumento na hindi siya Pilipino. Paragraph number 27. The second cause of action for his disqualification is that respondent Erwin or Erich Sylvester Tulfo is a citizen of the United States of America and is not a Filipino. The only way for a Filipino to be considered a dual citizen is when he applied for dual status under Republic Act 9225. Erwin claimed he did not renounce his U.S. citizenship because he claimed he was not considered a U.S. citizen by the U.S. Embassy officials when he surrendered his U.S. passport that he had been using under the name Erich Sylvester Tulfo. So next, Erwin said he was not allowed by the officials he talked to at the U.S. Embassy to do so because he had nothing to renounce because Erwin Teshiba Tulfo was not a U.S. citizen and it was Erich Sylvester Tulfo who was the U.S. citizen. Number 31 paragraph. In other words, Erwin Tulfo admitted he was holding a U.S. citizenship under the name Erich Sylvester Tulfo since 1991. In addition, he admitted holding a Social Security identification card under the name Erich Sylvester Tulfo and a driver's license also in the same name. Nevertheless, he was deemed to have admitted as the holder of the Erich Sylvester Tulfo U.S. passport since 1991 because he submitted to the Philippine Congress Commission on Appointments these documents showing he surrendered to the U.S. Embassy in Manila the passport in the name of Erich Sylvester Tulfo and the Social Security card of Erich Sylvester Tulfo. A copy of the document showing his surrender, this surrender of the U.S. passport and the Social Security card on June 27, 2022 is attached here to as Annex D, which was certified by the COMELEC as a true copy. The document submitted by Attorney Moises Tolentino Jr. in his petition for disqualification filed against Erwin or Erich when Erwin was about to be proclaimed as the third representative Vice Jeffrey Soriano for ACT-CIS party list in the records of the COMELEC. Significantly, when the respondent was listed fourth among the 5 nominees of ACT-CIS party list, he was still carrying a U.S. passport. In fact, it was just issued to him on August 6, 2021, barely 2 months before he ran as a candidate of the said party list. This petition of Attorney Tolentino was docketed as SPA number 23-001 DCN. These documents of Attorney Tolentino are adopted in this petition by reference as integral parts thereof. All these documents are of judicial notice to the COMELEC and to respondent Erwin Teshiba Tulfo or Erich Sylvester Tulfo. At any rate, the same documents of Erwin or Erich in the Commission on Appointments and in the COMELEC's custody are of judicial notice to the COMELEC. One of the documents obtained from the Commission on Elections is this document dated October 11, 2022, which is a letter of the U.S. Embassy to Erwin Teshiba Tulfo, a certified copy of which is attached here to as Annex A. This October 11, 2022 document reads, the Department of State of the USA has revoked U.S. passport number of Erwin Tulfo or in the name of Erich Sylvester Tulfo issued to you in the name of Erich Sylvester Tulfo on August 6, 2021, along with any other valid U.S. passport issued to you pursuant to 22 CFR Section 51.62 Paragraph A, Paragraph 2, which provides that a U.S. passport may be revoked when it has been determined that the passport was obtained illegally, fraudulently, or erroneously. So the regulation cited in this letter may be found at http www.ecfr.gov. Kung malaman pala ni Trump ito, mumurahin siya ni Trump, no? Department records show that you initially executed a U.S. passport application on 1991, in which you were issued U.S. passport number, okay, on May 24, 1991. Subsequently, on October 19, 2001, you submitted a U.S. passport renewal application and were issued U.S. passport number. Okay, additionally, on August 5, 2011, you submitted a U.S. passport application again, and it resulted in issuing US passport to you. Ganun sinabi, no? So most recently, you submitted the US renewal passport application and presented your previously issued US passport number as your identity and US citizenship. Consequently, a US passport number was issued in the name of Rich Sylvester Tulfo on August 6, 2001. As investigation revealed that Erich Sylvester Tulfo, born on December 30, 1965 in Hawaii, is not your true identity. Ibig sabihin, falsifikador pala ito si Erwin. Mahilig mamiki. Fake news ang lagi. So evidence suggests that you are Erwin Teshiba Tulfo, born on August 10, 1963 in the Tacloban City, Leyte, Philippines. In fact, on June 27, 2022, you signed a voluntary statement that you were born in the Philippines and you obtained your US birth certificate by fraudulent means. So, talagang minaniobra niya, talagang ang falsifikador, pagtawag dito. You admitted that in fact your birthplace is Tacloban City, Leyte, Philippines. Therefore, because you made false statements of material facts in your passport election, your passport application, your passport number is now revoked under 22 CFR Section 51.62, Paragraph A, Paragraph 2. So, yan po. Very clear, naghawak siya ng passport. So, ngayon, ang argumento niya, hindi naman ako yan si Erich Sylvester Tulfo eh. Ang argumento ko naman, hindi na pinag-usapan kung anong pangalan ginamit mo. What is important is, naging Amerikano ka at ang hinaharangan at ang ating konstitusyon ay yung tinatawag na allegiance. So may doon kang dual allegiance. Binabawalan po ang dual allegiance. Although pwede ka makalusot sa dual citizen, pero sa dual allegiance, hindi ka pwede. So yan po ang aking argumento sa kanya. Number 42, Erwin Tulfo also submitted his October 11, 2022 letter which he himself signed or acknowledged to have received on page 3 thereof as Erwin T. Tulfo, aka Erich Tulfo, to the Commission on Appointments who deliberated on his nomination as Secretary of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. It is stated in the records of the case of Erwin aka Erich Sylvester Tulfo with the Commission on Appointments CE that he submitted his affidavits. It is also stated in the records of the COMELEC that Erwin to the CA copies of his income tax return, and these are adopted here. Okay, Section 3, Article 6 of the Constitution prohibits any person from running for senator if he is not a natural-born Filipino citizen. Number 46, because it is established that Erwin Tulfo is the same person who used the U.S. passport in the name of Erich Sylvester Tulfo, and the fact that he has not renounced his American citizenship, he is not a Filipino, at least constructively. Number 47, paragraph, it is immaterial that it happened that Erwin used the U.S. passport under the name Erich Sylvester Tulfo. That is because any person can use any name and it will not lose his actual physical identity under his original name or birth name or his citizenship. What is important, and paragraph number 49, what is important is the fact that he has been holding a U.S. passport under the name of Erich Sylvester Tulfo. Number 50, paragraph, he also voluntarily said to Sharon Cuneta in a television interview with him and his brothers Ramon and Rafi that he had been a member of the U.S. Army, which is a self-admission. Number 51, a copy of this video can be viewed at this link or Uniform Resource Locator. Okay. Number 52, paragraph. As such, this interview of Sharon Cuneta is of judicial notice to the COMELEC for this administrative proceeding. Number 53, as a U.S. Army member, he must be either a U.S. citizen or at least a green card holder. Number 54, of course, logic says he was a U.S. Army member using the name of Erich Sylvester Tulfo. Number 55, in his defense, as stated in his verified answer filed by him in the case Attorney Moises S. Tolentino Jr. versus Erwin T. Tulfo, is PA case number 23-001, DCN Erwin admitted in paragraph 25 therein that he became a member of the U.S. Army. Number 56, paragraph. But Erwin just said in paragraph 26 of his verified answer that he went to the U.S. as a tourist and he was then spotted by a member of the U.S. Army who befriended him and thereafter offered the respondent to join the U.S. Army. Number 57, paragraph. In paragraph 27 therein, Erwin said that he accepted the offer to uplift the status of the life of him and his family. Number 58, in paragraph 28, Erwin feigned ignorance on how the papers for his membership in the U.S. Army were processed. Number 59, but for sure it is of judicial notice that before one is accepted in the U.S. Army, the individual must take the oath swearing allegiance to his country as a citizen or as a green card holder. Number 60, the act of taking oath to be a member of the U.S. Army was done personally by Erwin so that it did not matter what name he used in taking that oath. Number 61, aside from becoming a U.S. Army member in 1988, he also applied for a U.S. passport in 1991, renewal of the same in the year 2021, second renewal in the year 2011, and third and final renewal in 2021. By taking oath as an Army member and applying for a U.S. passport, he completed the acts needed for him to be considered for all intents and purposes as a U.S. citizen and simultaneously lost his Filipino citizenship. Number 63, it was him who personally committed these acts so that it does not matter if Erwin used the name Erich Sylvester Tulfo when he took oath. Number 64, in applying for a U.S. passport, he also took an oath as a U.S. citizen. Number 65, the person who is prohibited is the person who actually committed the acts of U.S. citizen, and it does not matter if he used his fictitious name in swearing to be a U.S. citizen. What is prohibited directly cannot be circumvented by committing acts that indirectly run against the prohibition. Besides, it is a criminal act of falsification, and he will always be imprisoned if only tried under the U.S. court, regardless of the fake name he used. Number 68, in his reply against the verified answer of Erwin, Attorney Tolentino countered in paragraph 14 of this reply to wit, Erwin's repeated acts of renewing his U.S. passport constitute acts of furtherance of his U.S. citizenship and at the same time constitute an express renunciation or disavowal of his Philippine citizenship. Number 69, the revocation of the U.S. passport in the name of Erwin Sylvester Tulfo does not result in the loss of of his U.S. citizenship. Number 70, that is because on the October 11, 2022 letter of revocation clearly stated that Erwin Tulfo is not U.S. citizen or is a Filipino. What the October 11, 2022 revocation letter said was the fact that he is not Erich Sylvester Tulfo was the only clear reason why the U.S. passport was cancelled. Number 72, therefore, there is no evidence that Erwin is now a Filipino or that he has not lost his Filipino citizenship. Number 73, the burden of proof to prove he is a Filipino citizen rests on the shoulder of Erwin da Silva Tulfo. Number 74, that is because Erwin already admitted having held the U.S. passport from 1991 to 2022 and because the revocation letter of October 11, 2022 does not state whether Erwin was a Filipino at the time of the revocation. For this purpose, the petitioners adopt all the arguments asserted by Attorney Tolentino in his petition and in his reply. A copy of the same verified and its annexes are attached here to as Annex F series. A copy of the petition filed by Attorney Tolentino and the annexes herein are attached here to as Annex J series. A copy of the reply filed by Attorney Tolentino and the annexes therein are attached here to as Annex H series. So, equal access doctrine. Dito naman tayo sa equal access clause. The third cause of disqualification against the respondent is a violation of the political dynasty prohibition of the Constitution as stated in Section 26 of Article 2 thereof. The running of Erwin Tulfo to the position of senator simultaneously with his brother Benvenido Ben Tesiba Tulfo, and the act that their brother Rafi Tesiba Tulfo is an incumbent senator constitute, along with the fact that Erwin Bin are topping the surveys, constitute as a violation of Section 26 of Article 2 of the 1987 Constitution. This constitutional provision reads, Section 26, the state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. Number 2, there are two constitutional laws that are stated in Section 26. The first is the provision that states that the state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service. The second provision states that the state shall prohibit political dynasty as may be defined by law. May, ha, hindi shall. So number 85, but let us consider the first provision in this discussion. Respondents are in Tesiba Tulfo and Ben Tesiba Tulfo and their brother Rapi Tulfo know they have been extremely popular among Filipino voters. In fact, they are even ranking number 1, number 2 in political surveys. Both Erwin and Ben filed their certificates of candidacy for senator for the May 12, 2025 elections. In filing the certificates of candidacy, Erwin and Ben knew that if they ran for senator and at the same time they would deprive the rest of the Filipinos of equal access to opportunities for public service as senators, insofar as 2 Senate seats that would go to Erwin and Ben are concerned. With this, respondents Erwin and Ben know, or under ordinary sense, would be defeating the policy of the Constitution to give equal access to opportunities for public service. If Erwin and Ben filed their certificates of candidacy at the same time for the same election for senators, there would be no equal access to others who are running also for senators. Erwin and Ben knew from the start that with their extreme popularity, they would violate this constitutional policy of providing equal access to opportunities for public service. Allowing them to run will make the state violate Section 26 of Article 6, which commands the state to provide public service. When the Constitution speaks of public service, it speaks of the service that is rendered by the people who can perform satisfactorily the services that are the main official functions of the office being held. That is the same as the police officer who can never be a high school graduate. Otherwise, it violates the provision that the state shall guarantee full freedom and guarantee to stress. Number 96, public service means service performed by a qualified individual, and it is not public service if the work is performed by an individual who does not know the work. So, number 97, Section 26 justifies laws requiring minimum educational qualifications and degrees for political positions. Number 98, it is absurd to say that the framers of the Constitution intended to give Filipino leaders who are mediocre. Number 99, of course, the mindset of the framers of the Constitution when they were crafting the constitutional provisions was to give the best for the state and its people. Number 11, it follows that the framers of the Constitution did not intend to have senators who are charlatans. Number 101, for having little or no knowledge of law, as they did and even enroll in basic and substantive law subjects and lawmaking, it will be violative of the Constitution to allow Erwin and Ben to be elected to the positions they are unqualified of. The use of legal consultants does not offset the lack of knowledge by a senator because it is the senator himself who will personally debate and vote on the bills under consideration. Number 103, the framers of the Constitution know from the start that senators must be excellent in thinking of laws that will strengthen the economic, political, and social foundations of the state. In addition, the acts of Erwin and Ben in simultaneously filing their respective candidacies for senator will create a political dynasty defined as the rule of persons belonging to one family, either simultaneously or successively, like making public offices as their private business. Of course, the framers of the Constitution were thinking of the best intentions they could master while crafting the laws that would bring the best for the people and the country. And they did not think of having the possibility of a president, vice president, senators, congressmen who are morons or mediocre, but who can read and write. Number 106, to have equal access to opportunities and public service is to limit its position, elective or otherwise, to applicants who can provide the necessary minimum public service records. Political dynasty. Section 26 says that the kind of political dynasty as may be defined by law. So the phrase does not state political dynasty as shall be defined by law. If the constitutional phrase is political dynasty that shall be defined by law, then it means that the word shall, if the constitutional phrase is political dynasty that shall be defined by law, then it means that if there is no law that defines political dynasty, the Supreme Court or the COMELEC cannot implement political dynasty prohibition without a law defining the same. Number 110 pala. But the phrase adopted by the Constitution is political dynasty as may. So ang operative word may be defined by law. Thus, it is not absolutely necessary or obligatory or mandatory that there must first be an enabling law for the political dynasty prohibition to apply. It is submitted that without any definition, the Supreme Court has an obligation to define what political dynasty is, or the COMELEC may formulate the implementing rules to give life and meaning to this long-standing constitutional problem. Section 26 is being reiterated to it. The state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. The operative word is may. It means that the Constitution permits an ordinary meaning of what a political dynasty, which can be defined from experience that is reasonably understood by all ordinary workers in the absence of a law. The COMELEC is authorized to make a preliminary interpretation, which of course is subject to the final determination that may be defined by the Supreme Court that is empowered to interpret. In the ordinary meaning of the word political dynasty, there is no dispute that the act of Erwin de Siba Tolpo of running for the Senate along with his brother Benvenido Benturbo violates the political dynasty provision of the Constitution, even made worse with one brother already an incumbent. Alam mo, dito na tayo sa 117. A copy of the certificate of candidacy of Ben Tulfo is attached here to as Annex F. The case against Ben Tulfo is to be filed separately. Completing the political dynasty is the fact that their brother Rafi Tesiba Tulfo is an incumbent senator, which fact is of judicial notice to the COMELEC and the Supreme Court. So, Section 26, Article 2 cannot be set aside just because there is no law defining political dynasty for the specific purpose of Section 26. Being clearly and undisputedly dynastic, it does not need a law but only an interpretation by the Supreme Court that has the power to interpret what political dynasty is. Between or among brothers or sisters or parents and children running for the same position, there is no need for law to define what should be done. Being a brother or a sister of a parent or child needs no definition for it to be readily identified as dynasty. Siyempre magkapatid sila, automatic yun. Hindi na kailangan ng batas na sabihin magkamag-anak sila. So Erwin, Ben, and Rafi are brothers of each other. So there is no issue that they all fall within the natural definition of dynasty. Nepotism law, mag-apply din ng nepotism law. Kasi bawal na mag-appoint ka ng kamag-anak mo sa opisina kung saan ka man. So parang ganun din ang argumento ko na batas na susundin sa pag-apply ng tinatawag na political dynasty. So number 124, now there is a synonymous definition in law, and this law stated under the revised rules of administrative cases in civil service penalizes nepotism with dismissal from the service. Number 125, it is submitted that the law on nepotism prohibits an appointing officer to appoint a relative up to the first degree cousin or fourth degree relationship by consanguinity or affinity. For sure, the political dynasty referred to in Section 26 of Article 2 of the Constitution is synonymous to nepotism, and there are actually laws that prohibit appointments by an appointing authority that is called the law on nepotism. Up to this point, the petitioners take the position that there is actually no need for a law to execute the constitutional prohibition against political dynasty. What may be unclear or debatable that needs a law clear a clear law is a political dynasty among relatives outside brothers, sisters, siblings, parents, and children. So, ibig sabihin, posisyon ko rito, hindi na kailangan ng batas ng political dynasty kung ang titingnan natin ay magkakapatid. Ganun lang po, ikasimple. So, existence of two laws against, ito may dalawang batas naman na pwede mapagkukunan ng definition ng political dynasty. Number 129, nevertheless, the Philippines has two laws on political dynasty applicable to political position aspirants. We have the Bangsamoro Electoral Code that prohibits relatives within the second degree by affinity or consanguinity to run and to simultaneously file their candidacies. The code can be accessed at this link. Okay, yan official code ng Bangsamoro na batas. Section 9 of the Bangsamoro na batas ay nagsasabi, nominees submitted by a political party shall not be related to each other within the second degree of consanguinity or affinity. Yan ang sinasabi ko, may pera ka ba? Pwede mo patanggal yung mga tarpaulin ninyo na kabali-bali. Okay, diretso tayo kay Erwin Tulfo. Number 133, moreover, Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act. Ito pang batas na nagbabawal sa political dynasty. Yung batas ng Kabataang Barangay Reform Act. So, qualifications, an official of the Sangguniang Kabataan, either elective or appointee, must be a citizen of the Philippines as a qualified voter of the Katipunan ng Kabataan, a resident of the barangay for not less than 1 year, immediately prior to dali a resident of the barangay for not less than 1 year immediately. Dito tayo, no candidate for Sangguniang Kabataan that must file, and the candidate must not be related within the second degree of consanguinity or affinity to the incumbent elected national or to any incumbent elected regional, provincial, city, or barangay official. So, so batas na yan. So pwede na sundin yan. Okay, 134 tayo. Erwin Tulfo and Ben Tulfo are related to Senator Rafi Tulfo with the second degree by consanguinity, because it is already defined by law that a political dynasty includes those who run at the same time in the same collegial body, like what Erwin Tisiba Tulfo and Benvenido Tisiba Tulfo are doing, makes them disqualified to run for the same collegial body. The voice of the people doctrine does not apply. Lagi lang in-invoke nila ni Erwin Tulfo. Hiyaan mo yung tao mamili. Ganun lagi sila. O, ito naman ang sa akin na punto ay nung bumuto tayo ng konstitusyon at nanalo, kasama na doon sa ating sinuko ay yung karapatan na mamili ng ating opisyal. At sinuko natin doon sa mga batas doon sa constitutional law na binutuhan natin ng pabor ay yung pagbabawal sa mga non-Filipino, ang mga non-Filipino citizen na maging opisyal ng bayan. Okay, diretso tayo. Number 137, there is also a question that the welfare of the people is supreme or salus populi est suprema lex. Number 138, however, the people have already spoken and ratified the 1987 Constitution, which means that the people agreed among themselves that their voice cannot violate the 1987 Constitution. The said ratification is the most sacred and the most formal act of the people. The Constitution is the highest law of the land, and that was approved and voted for by the people in the plebiscite called for the purpose. The people who ratified the Constitution in 1987 were fully informed during the campaign that their votes did not include the perpetual voting of officials to power, or did not include voting of candidates to political positions in violation of the creation of political dynasties. So number 142, the ratification voting in 1987 was limited only to the following: that they were building their nation, that called the Republic of the Philippines, that they were creating their government, that they were creating offices that would run their government, that they were allocating powers to every office, that the people were defining how the elected officials be elected, that the people were setting the qualifications for all elected positions, that they limited their own power to elect by means of setting up limitations that included the three-term limits to local and congressional elected officials and the two-term limit to senators, as well as the single-term limit to the office of the president, among others, and among others. So, on the other hand, during the elections for various elected positions, including those for the national positions, the people are aware that they are not amending the Constitution to remove the term limits, but merely voting for their national and local officials. Number 144. Further, the people who vote today understand that the only way to change what the Constitution provides is through a constitutional convention, a constituent assembly, and people's initiative. Academic qualifications. Itong pinakabago pakinggan nyo kung paano ko sinasabi na dapat ang lahat ng kandidato kasama si Erwin Tulfo ay dapat meron siyang edukasyon na kinuha. Dapat graduate man lang siya sa college. Di ba? Ito, pakinggan natin ang sinabi ko. Academic qualifications, 145. It is not true that there is no requirement from political candidates to show academic qualifications first before they are allowed to run. And these qualifications must be one commensurate to the position that the candidates run for. For one aspiring to be a senator, he or she must have studied the basic principles of law, and he or she needs not be a lawyer. Number 148. Knowledge in law is necessary to have a level of intelligence and education to decide what laws are needed and what laws would make the lives of the citizens better. This requirement of academic education is required in Section 1 of Article 11 of the Constitution. The Constitution requires efficient public service from all government employees, and the papers are fixed. Tapos, the Constitution requires efficient public service from all government employees, and they include the elected employees. This is required by the Constitution in Section 1 of Article 11 that says, Section 1, public office is a public trust. Public officers and employees must at all times be accountable to the people, serve them with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency, act with patriotism and justice, and lead modest lives. If the Constitution requires utmost efficiency at all times from public officers and employees, it also requires the same from elected jury. And there is no other way to achieve utmost efficiency but to require the candidates to be academically prepared. Proof of academic qualifications must be submitted by the candidates. For senators and representatives, they should know that the work of legislators requires knowledge in the basic principle of laws, knowledge on wide range of subject matters, and depth in wisdom to know what laws should be made. And yet, both Erwin and Ben know that they cannot even give utmost efficiency public service. They know that they are not schooled to be able to know what good laws to pass, to know what are the principles of laws, and to know how legislation mills are running. By persisting in filing their certificates of candidacy, banking only on their extreme popularity with the voters despite their knowledge that they are not schooled on how to do the job, volunteer pa siya. So for sure, respondent Erwin and his brother Ben also knew from the start that they lacked the experience or qualifications to perform lawmaking functions to come up with good laws. Ang alam ko, hindi pa ito gumraduate ng college eh. Dalawa sila ni Ben eh. Nung nag-aral siya sa University of the East noon, sinabi niya. Pero hindi ko alam kung totoo yan. So in all their speeches in their political campaigns, Erwin and Ben have not presented their platforms. By being unfit for legislative function, Erwin and his brother Ben are effectively disqualified by the Constitution to run for senator. Okay? So yan, nakita na ninyo yung kasong sinampa ko ulit. Pagdasal ninyo na mabigyan po ito ng ano ng oras ng Comelec. So ngayon ipakita ko sa inyo na ang kabubuhan talaga. Sabihin natin na hindi marunong ni Rapi Tulfo. Ni Erwin Tulfo. Ito po 'yun. Itong papalabas ko, tinira niya na noon yung Kabagan Bridge na mahina. Bakit hindi siya nag-imbestiga kung alam niya gagawin? Ibig sabihin, hindi niya alam gagawin. O, pakinggan niyo.
Hindi pwedeng daanan na 4 wheels. Bisikleta lang at 2 wheels motor.
Bakit? Ano nangyari?
May haba na 557 meter o kalahating kilometro.
Ganda.
Dadaan ka sa, maganda lang sa aerial.
Okay.
Pero hindi na pwedeng daanan yan. Tingnan, wala naman daan.
So tao lang pwede dumaan dyan.
Tao or motorsiklo. Tricycle yan, hindi pwede dahil 3 wheels. 2 wheels lang.
Magkano yung
Dahil
budget?
600 plus million.
Sus, porbida.
Inaasahang magbebenepisyo sana rito ang 2,751 ng mga motorista araw-araw.
Aha.
At dahil sa aesthetic design ng tulay, inaasahan sana na mabuboost yan ang turismo
Oo
sa
naman.
probinsya. Napakaganda eh.
Ganda. Oh.
Ang problema, umuuga raw ang tulay.
Baka kahoy ang ano niya,
Yun,
pundasyon.
anong kahoy? Tignan mo naman, bakal simento yan. Yun.
So, ibig sabihin pinablis niya ito noong 2024 pa, July. Ngayon, kung gano'n, publish niya pa 2024 pa, July, bakit hindi niya inimbestigate? Sabi niya, umuga-uga. Siya mismo nakakaalam na umuga-uga. At bakit hindi niya sinabi na umuga-uga? Bakit hindi siya nag-imbestiga? Bakit hindi niya pinatawag ang lahat ng mga opisyal ng DPWH na may kalalaman dyan? Bakit? Siya lang nakakalam pero hindi niya alam kung anong dahilan. Kasi hindi naman siya kwalipikado maging congressman. At bakit pa siya nilagay na congressman? Hindi pala kwalipikado. Yan ang problema. So hindi siya kwalipikado pero nagawa niya ng paraan. At dahil sa ACT-CIS na inagaw lamang niya yung kanyang ang kanyang pwesto pagiging congressman mula sa kay Geoffrey Soriano na lehitimo na taga ACT-CIS. Pero ang ACT-CIS may nagreklamo sa akin na yung mga kababayan ni kaibigan ni Joel Pagdilaw, ni Sammy Pagdilaw na inagaw lang pala kay Sammy Pagdilaw itong itong ACT-CIS na gagawan na party list. So hindi pa daw siya nabayaran. Binili pala nila ni Edwil Yap na isang smuggler na kaibigan ni Erwin Tulfo at saka ni Rapi Tulfo. Kasi yung mga Tulfo na yan, diyan sila kumikita daw sa pangkutong na 600,000 a month mula sa customs. So diyan kumukuha ng gagaling po ang kanilang pera. So patuloy tayo yung pakinggan.
Ito klaseng bakal yan, tumuga-uga.
Pag tricycle daw, talagang delikado.
Alam niya na umaga-uga, hindi man lang imbestigahan. Hindi niya alam ang trabaho niya.
Meron daw tagabantay. 4 wheels, sorry.
Hindi
Ikot
pwede.
kayo.
Ano
2
ba
wheels
yan?
lang at saka motorsiklo.
sangiring.
600 million. Ang tanong ng mga residente,
Nako.
substandard ba ito?
Ang alam mo lang, magtawag-tawag, mag-interview, pero hindi mo alam ang ginagawa mo rito eh. Pakinggan.
Top standard.
Mabuti na lang may isang magaling na magiting na vlogger na sa construction siya. Mga binablog niya construction. Sabi niya gano'n, mukhang ito ay substandard.
Top standard.
600 million na buwis ng taong bayan, hindi na magamit.
Yung buisit.
2018 pa lang.
Yeah.
Ano pala tayo? 2004.
Mm.
Zero mo? Hindi na magamit. DPWH, mag-practice na kayo magpaliwanag mamaya ha.
Yan.
Gamitan nyo ng mga terminology na hindi namin maintindihan ni Bayaljo ha.
Yan ha.
Mga kung ano-ano dyan, mga
Computation.
structural kuan ha. Pati mga computation ha. Mag-practice na kayo. Sabihin mo dyan na kuan ha.
In English ha.
Listen
in
ha,
English.
mag-practice na sila.
Oh.
In English ha.
Okay?
Oh.
Yung mga terminology.
Terminology at saka mga x multiplied by 37 factor 7.
Yung mga trash detail.
Yan, mga ganyan. Oo.
Ano ba pinagsasabi mo? Mga mali-mali, mga multiply mo.
Yung mga configuration.
Yan ha. Yung mga slope, mga
Yan.
pag-pangarap.
Ay, nako. Hindi mo nga alam eh. Kaya hindi ka academically qualified. Hindi ka nga gumraduate sa college sa UE eh.
Alam nyo nang practice
Mathematics.
dito mamaya.
Mhm.
Dahil isa lang ang tanong ko sa inyo, niluloko nyo ba kami?
Yung mga,
Malinaw pa sa sikat ng araw.
mga T-square yung ginagamit.
Yan,
mga
ha?
square root of
Practice
6.
Ba't hindi ka nag-imbestiga? 2024 pa yan. Ba't hindi ka nag-imbestiga sa congressman ka na nun? Hindi ka nag-imbestiga. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo alam ang ginagawa mo. Mr. Rental po ka, mahiya ka naman. Mag-resign ka na lang. Huwag ka na tumakbo.
Yun na yung mga sagot sa amin mamaya.
Kasi ang problema ko, mananalo ka dahil popular ka. Pati yung kapatid mo si Bentol po, pare-pare lang ni Lito Lapid. Pare-pare lang kayo si... Ay, nako, yung mga tao na talagang hinihimod mo lang yung puwit ni Romualdez eh. Dati makadidiis ka eh. Minumura mo pa nga si Lenny eh. Tapos ngayon, dahil tahimik ka, hindi ka nagsalita. O, narinig nyo ba nagsalita si Erwin, si Rapi, tsaka si Ben patungkol sa kaso ni Duterte? Ay, hindi ko narinig. Kaya sip-sip mga yan eh.
Hindi masagot.
Ay,
Yung
alam mo na.
away.
Patawag ka agad dito.
Wala kayo.
Magpaliwanag kayo. Pero mo, 600 million, tapos motorsiklo lang ang pwedeng dumaan. Kalukan! Tingnan mo, sa gilid pa yung dumadaan yung motor.
Mga talentado talaga itong mga to.
Mga bastos. Doon ulit sa ilalim dumadaan yung mga sasakyan.
Kaya pala naglagay ng tulay dyan na para talaga sa mga sasakyan.
Of course, nasa linya na ng ating telepono
Yan,
si DPWH Region 2 Director Engineer Ray Alconcel. Magandang umaga, District Engineer Alconcel. Sir, this is Erwin Tulfo and Aljo Bendijo. Live po. Yes po. Good morning po. Good morning.
Morning.
RD.
Hello sir, good morning po sa inyong
Magandang umaga din.
Sir Anjo Meldio.
Aljo
Yes, sir.
Bendijo po.
Pwede.
Yes, sir.
Ano ho nangyari dito? May alam kong bago lang ho kayo dyan at hindi ninyo panahon nang itayo itong tulay na ito. So wala pa kayo, hindi pa kayo RD. Pero ano ang report sa iyo? Bakit umuuga-uga na itong tulay na ito na tinayo lang ito noong 2018 at the cost of 639 million pesos lang naman na galing sa bulsa ng mga tao, ngayon ay hindi na madaanan ng four wheels. Ano po explanation daw sa inyo ng pinalitan mo, District Engineer?
RD sir, correction sir RD.
RD.
RD, sorry. Oh, RD.
Yes sir. Sir, okay na sir. Good morning sir uli. Actually sir ito, to give an overview of this project. This was designed and bid out in the central office sometime in 2014.
Okay.
So yung preparation po ng plano nito 2013. So ang papel lang po dito ng regional office during that time is we will only implement.
Okay.
We will implement the project. So yung implementation, nasunod naman yung plano, may mga occurrence na kagad ng crack. Mga hairline crack na gano'n, mga cracks ng occurrence. No? So tinuloy pa rin namin ito. Gawa nga ng hindi yung pwedeng itigil kasi nagkaroon ng problema yung mga naitayo ng structure. Ang kukontra, kumbaga, lalong titibay pagka makag-connect. So, sir, nung naka-connect na, natayo na, lalong nakita na kayo ng mga cracks. So, we requested for a third-party audit para ma-audit nila itong tulay. So, nakita nila na yung nag-gamit pala na design ito is 1997 code, which is the national structural
Ay,
code.
hindi niya alam yung mga code-code na yan. Oh, ngayon, para sana nalaman sana ni Erwin kung sino ang mga presidente ang gumastos dyan, ito, POSCO. Hindi niya alam. Ayan, yan ang talaan ng record. Ang project na ito ay binigyan ng pondo noong 2014 November sa halaga ng 413 million. Sa panahon nito ni Noynoy Aquino, phase 1 niya kung tawagin. So sa phase 2, 2016, binigyan naman ng 236 million ni Noynoy Aquino. So ilan ang total sa binigay ni Noynoy? Ay 649 million. Okay? Sunod naman, panahon ni Duterte, 2019, binigyan niya phase 3 ng 153 million. O, sa kasunod na panahon, kay Bongbong Marcos na. Noong 2023 May, ay binigyan niya ng retrofitting works na 275 million. At noong 2024 May, isang taon pa ulit, binigyan niya another 115 million. So ang kabuang total ay 390 million. So ibig sabihin, pinakamaliit pala na gastos kay Duterte. Pinakamalaki na gastos kay Noynoy. At second biggest na gastos kay BBM. So wala naman nagot ka dito ngayon. Kasi yung contractor na nag-umpisa kay Noynoy, yun si JD Interior. Ang masama pa doon na hindi ko gusto, dapat magtumigil na kayo sa tinatawag na COMELEC. Huwag na po kayo tumanggap na contractor na sole proprietorship. Dapat korporasyon. Kasi pag mamatay yung may-ari ng construction firm na sole proprietorship, sino pa ngayon nahahabulin niyo? Patay na ang tao. Pero kung korporasyon ay hindi po namamatay, mamamatay man ang member nila sa kanilang board pero may papalit na bagong board. Pero ang korporasyon ay hindi po namamatay hanggat 50 years ang edad niyan. At pagdating ng 50 years, pwede pang i-renew yan. So yan po ang wisdom kung bakit dapat sa korporasyon kayo nakikipag-usap. Ang problema dito ay nakipag-usap kayo sa tao na tinatawag na ano ba meron diyan kay JD Interior. Bakit niyo binibigyan niyang yan ng kontrata? Dami-dami pa palang kontrata niya nakuha patungkol sa tulay. Tapos ito ginawa niya. Ang isa pang nakita ko dito na mali, bakit nung tinayo ay hindi man lang nagbabantay ang nag-design. Dapat nagbabantay ang design kung nasunod ng contractor ang paggawa ng pag-construct. O ang isa pa na nakita ko na kamalian dyan, may isa sa mga bakal sa sahig ng tulay na nahulog, may isa sa tie rod doon ang tawag hanger na kasing laki ng ng bakal na mula ilong ko hanggang mata ko, ganoon ang kapal ng diametro. So 100 mm. So ngayon, imbis na ang bakal dapat pag binira mo kabilaan ay mag-uunat at liliit, parang may liliit bago maputol. Pero itong sa Kabagan Bridge, yung bakal ay hindi nagliig, bigla kagad na putol. Ang ibig sabihin, umido po yung bakal na ginamit nyo. At dahil doon, the rest is history kasi magdodomino effect yan. Tapos, ang kinakakatawa pa ay yung dump truck ay hindi pa pala nakapatong doon sa tulay ay nahulog na yung tulay. Nakita natin ang ebidensya na hindi nakapatong. Sana ba yung yun? Nais kong ipakita sa inyo yung ebidensya na hindi nakapatong ang tulay. Ang dump truck, hindi nakapatong sa tulay. So, ikan ko. Sa madali lang naman ito. Dashcam of Kabangan Bridge Collapse. So, itong dashcam. I-play natin. Okay? Okay. So, ngayon, i-play natin ito. Ipakita ko sa inyo. Dito ba makikita, hindi pa nakapatong ang dump truck sa span na nahulog ang sahig, ay nahulog na kagad ang sahig. O tingnan ninyo. Yan ito ay dashcam to nakuha sa dump truck na nahulog. O ito.
Sular ka talaga? Sular siguro? Natukot maaala ka sular ka tata?
Yan, tingnan nyo. Yan o. Hindi pa nakapatong ang dump truck ay giba na ang span na yon. So ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Ang ibig lang po sabihin yan ay mahina pagkagawa. Itong sinasabi, nakita ko nga ng pinaka-weakest link ay yung ang nangyari ay yung bakal na isa hanger ay naputol, hindi man lang umunat. Nako, ibig sabihin, palpak. Ngayon, tingnan naman natin ngayon itong ito ang gustong klase ni Erwin Tulfo na pagiging senador. Yung mag-usap-usap para maghati-hatian ng pera. Ito, pakinggan nyo yung boss niya, si Romualdez.
Chair for APRO.
Ito pala, Si Romualdez dito, kasama niya si Dalipe na kanyang majority leader at si Elizalde ko ng Ako Bukol Party List na nag-uusap sila at silang nag-uusap kung magkano ang silang kumokontrol kung magkano ang budget. Dito, tinawagan ni Romualdez si AFP Chief of Staff Browner na sabihin sa kanya na sila ang nagpanukala na bibigyan ng 350 pesos a day na subsistence allowance sa mga sundalo. Ito naman ang pinsan niya, si BBM, inangkin na siya kuno nagbigay. Naku, batas po yan. Batas ng ginawa ng pinsan mo. O, pakinggan mo.
Our chair for APO and our APO bicameral members.
Hi, Chief Romy.
Please kindly convey to the AFP, to our men and women in uniform, that as we committed, that the subsistence daily allowance from 150 to 350 has not only been affirmed, but it's been approved and it's being signed right now. We will ratify the bicameral report this afternoon. So please tell that. They heard. That's all fake news. Basta nagsalita tayo when we speak. As a speaker in the House, when we speak, we mean it and we will always deliver. You are top priority, sir. Please tell the
Sapat na yan. Ang gusto ko lang ipahiwatig dito ay, ganun ba ang gagawin mo, Erwin Tulfo? Magkipag-usap paano kumita. Oh, naipatunayan ko na sa inyo na kailangan pala sa ating konstitusyon, naghahangad ang ating konstitusyon na dapat kung sino man mahalal ay dapat kwalipikado para magkaroon ng utmost efficiency sa trabaho. Okay? Oh, magandang gabi po sa lahat, no? Hindi na muna ako magbati kasi mag-isang oras na tayo.